Morning time capsule. That's coming in a little close here. How you doing this morning? Good time capsule. How you doing? Thursday, 420 edition, April 20th. A little early. Fun today. Question for how are you? I'm not too bad. I got a question for you. Oh, not too bad this morning. Slept okay. Had an interesting day yesterday. It was pretty good. Sleep, what's that? How you doing? Got in the chat here. See, I got a good show plan for everybody. AG, good one. I got some interesting articles to read for you folks today. Gonna check the movers and shakers list today. Wondering, should we change the name of the show? We'll get into that a little bit. Reason behind that question. Just wondering if you think should we change the name of the show? Is it hurting the brand? Is it due for a change? Had an interesting discussion on that yesterday. I was hanging out over at the historian's place there yesterday. So I had a little heart to heart with the man over there. It was pretty good chitter chatter. Just thought I'd ask the question after speaking with the Mr. Purple. Discussion on channel names, growing the channel, what it takes to make it blow up. It's been good though. Like I kind of like the slow and steady growth because learning. You don't want to grow too fast, right? So all right, what's the difference between the bird flu and the swine flu? One requires treatment and the other requires ointment. You doing? Who else we got in the chat here? We got two folks watching. If you grow too fast, you can lose touch with the base. That's sort of what I was thinking. Like I like kind of the slow and steady growth, right? I like the fact that I can keep touch with just about everyone. We got some new subscribers. We got a bunch of new subscribers. Aversion. A bunch of new subscribers come over yesterday over from that live stream. When people filter in one at a time, I can kind of keep in touch with them, get to know who they are. If it happens too fast, you just kind of, there's a risk of losing touch with the viewer base. So that's something to consider. We change the channel name. If we're gonna lose base. Stay the course, eh? Stay the course. All right. Well, we got a good show for you folks today. I got a couple of interesting articles for you to read. It's going to be a bit of a Thursday show here. I love it. What's brown and sticky? Stick. All right, time capsule. This show is for you. If you're tuning in wherever you are around the world, let's get this show started. Already started here. Morning. Morning, folks. Fans, amazing fans of Magic the Gathering. Today is Thursday, April 20th, and we're coming to you live this morning from the stock desk. I'm Brody Alfonso. This is the morning show over at Alphonso Investments, a show where we like to talk Magic cards, talk investing, figure out what's the best thing for your money if you're going to put it into the game. It's not a funny subject. It's a serious show here. What's brown and sticky? A stick. What's the difference between bird flu and swine flu? One requires treatment and the other requires ointment. There we go. We've got the hilarity out of the way. It's time for a very serious show here today. As usual, folks, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. 285 of you, amazing subscribers who tune in from around the world. The highest quality of subscribers out there in the world, the planet, no, the universe, the multiverse. I'll take the quality over quantity any day. I love the fact that you guys comment. Give me something to think about when we're doing the show. I do read each and every one of your comments, whether it's during the stream or after. I try to get to each and every one of you folks when you comment. Have a little bit of a meaningful discussion, trying to figure out what is in it for you folks. Whether you're a young person, maybe you're on your way to work today, you get the boss breathing down your neck, you guess no time to catch the live feed. Maybe you're somebody who's in the coming of age demographic. You're in your 30s or 40s. You're you got some time on your hands. Maybe you're running the show wherever you are. Maybe you're retired, sit on a beach. Maybe you're independently wealthy already and you just play Magic cards for fun, or maybe you've been at this since the beginning of Magic the Gathering in 1993, 94. And you plan on just leaving the whole pile of cardboards to your kids. Whatever the case may be, I want to thank you folks for joining me. You may have different financial goals, but we're going to talk about getting the fun into your Magic the Gathering collection. We're going to talk about the fun value, what it means to hold on to your hard-earned cash when it comes to investing in the world of Magic the Gathering. Where's a good place to put, maybe you only got a couple of bucks on the weekend when it comes to put into pre-release, whatever the case may be. I want to thank you for joining us. Hopefully you get something out of this stream, if not from me, from the people who are watching and commenting. I like it when people share their opinion here. An honest opinion is worth its weight in gold. I get some pretty interesting comments. Make some funny videos, make some serious videos. Most of my videos are slapstick, a little bit funny, a little bit hilarity. And I enjoy doing that here. I enjoy reading these articles with you folks at the stock desk. Is it Alpha Beta Unlimited revised cards? Do you like the old stuff? Do you like the new stuff? Do you like sealed boxes? Whatever it is that you enjoy about the game, let me know in the comment section below. Are you a flipper? Are you somebody who just flips Magic cards? You hold on to them for 5 years. Maybe you have a TCG player account and you sell online. Maybe you got an eBay store and you're serious. You've got an eBay store and you sell cards, and right now certain plane chase cards are moving. Maybe that's you. Whatever it is, whatever your reasons for tuning in, I hope we can have a little bit of fun. If you find there's a lot of information out there, or maybe there's too much information out in the world of Magic the Gathering, You don't like tracking the prices of Magic cards? Let me do it for you. We're doing it each and every day, Monday through Friday here on the morning show. We're talking Magic stocks and we're talking Magic stocks here today. I'm just gonna warm up with you folks a little bit here, make sure the stream is working just right. And in this day and age, it's funny because we used to need game developers and game designers and card testers and all kinds of young minds to come up with new mechanics and interactions. And now, just this last year or two, the AI has been giving us some magic cards, artificial intelligence. And if you, here's one for you. If you want to make some money, just put artificial intelligence or AI generated at the front or back of just about anything online. It's funny because you see it out there. It's sort of the buzzword now, and sometimes you can't even tell. Like, is a spreadsheet considered AI? There's times I'm gonna pour myself a coffee. Actually, we're having a little Earl Grey here this morning. Yeah, if you want to make some money, you go on the internet. You can put AI in front of just about anything these days. People will buy it. There's a lot of AI filters. There's a lot of AI spreadsheets. There's AI generated art, and there's even AI generated magic cards. So to start off this morning, we're just going to warm up a little bit, make sure Brody's coming in loud and clear, make sure the stream is working, make sure the cams are working, everything's going fine. We're going to take a look at head on over to Robo Rosewater, the online version of Mr. Rosewater. Take a look at some AI generated magic cards. Now, I know your time is valuable and you don't have time to waste. If you've been here before, I'll go over the rules for you just a second. If the card's playable in any way, shape, or form, we'll give it a pass. You'll hear this sound. A dinger. The sound of the zinger and the dinger. And if it's got any gibberish on the card whatsoever, we're going to fail it. You'll hear this sound. And we're going to move on to the next one. It's an interesting first card I have here to show you folks, and it's quite fitting because it's April 20th, 2023. I want to thank you folks for joining me here on the stock desk. Let's get into it. Take a look at some AI generated magic cards here this morning. Here's one for you. Speed alteration. Right? It's the 420 stream, so we can't have it without the weed alteration. Here's a card. An interesting card here this morning. Check this out. What do we got? Weed alteration, a white card. For 1 white, you get a 1/1. All right. Zombie. 1/1 zombie. All right, here we go. Quite fitting for today's stream. The weed alteration, the 1/1 zombie says when weed alteration enters the battlefield, you return target enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. Pretty decent card, I would say. I'm asking if you folks think I should change the channel name. Is it distracting? Is it preventing viewers from finding us here and joining the conversation? If you're wondering why I ask, I think this card's okay. What do you think? Was talking to the Magic Historian yesterday, and he says, I'm shooting myself in the foot with the name. Nobody's going to find you because you'll be stuck in the bottom of the YouTube algorithm name. So thought I'd ask the viewers. You folks think it's time for a name change here on the channel? If you Time Capsule says if you grow too fast, you lose touch with the viewers. So facto. The weed alteration, I think that's a decent card. Enters the battlefield. Good morning, Mr. Super Backer. Gaming Bob's here. Good morning, Gaming Bob. Nice to see you this morning. Thanks for joining us. There is an issue. There can be an issue when the channel grows too large, maybe not necessarily too fast. Talk about that on our channel often behind the scenes. Interesting. Appreciate it. I enjoy this. I enjoy the channel. I enjoy the chat. I enjoy the conversation. Good number. Good. We got the awesomest viewership here. What do you folks think of this weed alteration? It's kind of fitting for the 420 stream. Was this guy going around getting some weed here this morning? The weed alteration enters the battlefield. Return target enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. I don't see why not. Let's give it a pass. It seems fine. All right, what's next? Another weed card. Stone Lives, right? Yeah, okay. Another stone card here this morning. Kind of funny. Quite fitting for the for this morning stream. This 420 stream here this morning. One white, another white card. Put all cards from your hand onto the battlefield. Really? That seems pretty overpowerful. Yeah, absolutely time capsule. MTG Bob says, I'm on the side of keeping it boutique enough to have a more personal relationship with our viewer side. I like reading the comments. I do. I like to try and get to each and every one of you when new folks join the stream. I really enjoy getting to know the folks. Got kind of hard to keep up with as it is. Bob says, I may say some things that are difficult to hear or say some things in a way that's hard to swallow, but I do enjoy the interaction with the viewers. I just had an epiphany because of you, Brody. Perhaps it's time to think more about how we invest what budget we have into Magic the Gathering measured in enjoyment value instead of return on investment. Absolutely. That is precisely why, and I hope we're going to hook up this weekend there, Bob. It's precisely why I go to these pre-release kits. So, like for myself, as far as fun value, for 40 bucks, I get a pre-release kit, right? I get a little taste of the new set that's coming out. I get some boosters, I get a dice, I get a game box, I get a chance to build it. And if I go to an event, I get to play with whoever shows up, or maybe I got two of these kits, right, for us to play. I'm just wondering, have your kits come in, or are we going to do this online stream where we do our post pre-release? I hope so. But for the money, right? That's what I'm talking about, right? I'm totally talking about that, right? I'm totally hear you there. For the money that you spend, what do you want out of this game, right? For me, when I'm kind of holding off on buying any new products. If anybody who is new to the show and isn't tuning in, like I've kind of been bucking the system a little bit and waiting for things to pile up in inventory and picking up uh cheap booster boxes on discount that are on overstock. But when new products come out, like I'm buying the pre-release kits. I usually try to I only bought pre-release kits for New Capenna. Like check it out. I bought pre-release kits for New Capenna. We bought 5 of them for our friends and family. We played, and then we got like a ton of fun out of it for so if you go to pre-release, I think you're spot on the mark there, Bob, because for the money you spend, the fun is the highest. That's what I find. Totally. Return on fun value is the highest from pre-release kits. And then I sat out. I was like, okay, I'm not buying any new Capenna. Not doing it. Can't make me do it. And then, the next set comes out and the next set comes out. Let's pass this card. It seems fine. Put all the cards from your hand onto the battlefield. Can we pass this? Like, I won't buy any. And then all of a sudden, because the price point was too high, and then all of a sudden, just a couple of weeks ago, New Capenna goes on sale, and I'm buying it for $79 Canadian, shipped to the door, pretty darn cheap. And I'm like, good. I'm glad I didn't buy it earlier. Got the pre-release kits. I had some fun, and now being patient, I've been able to pick up my fill of draft boosters so that we can draft. And then that's the thing is I like when the booster boxes were just one booster box because you could draft them. Now can't really draft with set boosters. Whoa, we need to talk about that on Covered Conversations on Saturday. Time Capsule says I was collecting strictly as a fun thing to do. I don't play or sell. I stopped buying though as of others as a Brothers War. Okay, I was collecting strictly as a fun thing to do. I don't play or sell. Okay, interesting. Just trying to get to know the viewers a little bit more. I still buy Pokemon, but Magic's kind of jaded me. Good morning, Michael Superbacker. Nice to have you here. Stone Lives is busted, right? We're gonna give it a puff pass or what? Astrid Media is here joining us. Are we gonna let's give this a card a puff pass, right? Let's give it a puff pass for Stone Lies. It's a little bit overpowered. It sure is. For 1 mana, you get to put all the cards from your from your hand onto the battlefield. Holy moly, right? All right, let's go on to the next. What else we got here? Oh, this guy, definitely. Swamp. There's some of this digital media, right? These digital cards, they look pretty good. Swamp, basic land, basic swamp. Looks okay. Very digital. Micro Superbackers joining us. Thanks for getting in here in the chat. Astrid Media say, what did historian say? I was over there yesterday. He said he had some good advice. It was some heart to heart. He said a couple things. He said you're shooting yourself in your foot. The thing that he said, which I really appreciated him for saying, he says you put a lot of effort into your videos. But he almost didn't watch the video I sent him because the name of the channel seems like it could be like a bot channel, or it seems like actually he said it's like going to a restaurant where the food is really good, but the name on the restaurant is like the Dog Crap Cafe. So he says, you look at the name on the restaurant and you're like, I don't want to eat at the Dog Poop Cafe. And but the food's really good. So he said your videos are good. They have a lot of effort behind. It was really funny actually. He said, your videos are good. They have a lot of effort, but the name is probably turning a lot of people away. So now let's give this card a puff pass here this morning. Ding ding ding. All right. What else we got here? Gaming Bob says, I like weed alteration. It's better. It is a better oromancer, right? Stone Lies is totally broken. Time capsule. The last sets I bought boxes of. Okay, Michael Superbacker says he's also kind of sitting on the sideline with regards to new Magic. I got him saying the last set you bought was draft. Last set I bought boxes of was draft set and collector boxes was Dominaria United and Infinity. I don't have any Brothers War or any sets after that, and that's totally fine. It's funny, except for a few packs buying from the YouTube community. That's cool. Okay, so so that's fine. Don't be pressured into buying anything that you don't want to. If you don't like the set and everybody's like, aren't you buying it? You don't feel like you have to. Go like find your happy place, right? Like go find some singles or some older stuff that you like. Maybe just like buy singles, right? Kits haven't come in yet. All right. No problem. We are going to be sitting on these 2 pre-release kits till they do. I've got them here. They're sealed. I got my open ones. But dollar per fun value, the pre-release kits for me, it's a no-brainer. Let's give this card a puff pass. Let's move on. Wartime Bears. Here we go. All right. Here's another AI-generated Magic card for you folks. Let's look at this one. Pretty interesting. A 3/2 Spectre for a black and 3. Whenever Wartime Bears deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. That's a great Magic card. I'm going to grab a little sip of tea here. A little sip of Earl Grey. I love the viewers tuning in. Thanks for everybody tuning in. There's 10 of you folks watching from around the world. We're taking a look at some AI-generated Magic cards. It's April 20th. It's 420. We're giving it a puff pass or a fail here this morning. Wartime Bears, the 3/2 for 4 mana. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Man, We are smoking, smoking these cards here this morning. Wartime Bears, got to give it a puff pass. It's totally fair. 3/2 for 4 mana, sure. It's got Curious Obsession on it, like whenever it deals damage. It seems fair. OP, playable, word salad. Let's give it fair. Let's vote here. All right. Like it, like it. Nimble Leader. Look at this one. Take me to your nimble dealer? No, nimble leader. Let's check it out. Astrid Media says, I buy sealed and don't open it. A reserve list across with what the Moxman is buying, and single goal of collecting all angels, demons, and wizards. That is pretty cool. So you like the flavor of the demons, angels, and wizards? That's very cool. I like it. Um, Term of the day, boiler room. Okay, so let's discuss that reserve list buyouts, right? So what the Moxman is doing over on his channel is every couple of weekends you talk about a couple of cards, and there's actually some cards that he's put on the list. And to shout out to the Moxman, one of my favorite YouTubers out there, or is actually called a boiler room. It's in stocks, it's illegal, it's insider trading, and it's something that people uh definitely definitely say to stay away from. It's like it's called a boiler room. We'll look at it here. When a lot of people get together with cash and they buy up a certain stock to drive the price up in the stock market, that's it's actually I think it's actually illegal if you're an insider trader. It's also super risky because it allows one person who's involved in the boiler room to exit and sell their position and crash the market if they have a lot of it. Like for example, like me myself, I'm not like gonna start dumping cards. But there are a few cards that have hit the buyout targets over there that I'm sitting on a pretty large position in and have been for a few years. So I don't mind if other people are buying it. But I've been slowly picking away and hoarding up a position in Elvish Farmer for a number of years, and I don't know if anybody's going to catch me on that one. I mean, you could try, but yeah, it is what it is. It's called a boiler room, because things start bubbling. Well, what do you think of this nimble leader? Take me to your leader here. This one's a 2/1. It doesn't have a casting cost. Oh no, it does. It's on the what's the name of that border from Future Sight border. It's a red and 2. It's got flying and it's a 2/1 and it's a human monk. For a white and 1 until end of turn, nimble dealer comes a 3/3 printer instead. I guess it could be a printer. It's standing at a Xerox machine. Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. Because of 3/3 printer instead. That's a funny magic card. Fair, fair. I buy sealed, don't open it. Buy reserve list. I love the buyouts that are going over. I find it really interesting to see how many people get involved. Michael Superbacker says, I'm not sure how to vote on the poll question. Are you seriously considering changing your channel name? Well, I was over at a live stream last night and I had some a real to life chat with a historian. Actually, he like singled me out at the very beginning of the stream. He's like, Alfonso, I want to talk to you specifically because when I first saw your channel name, I thought you were like a fake channel, like somebody who's like a troll or a bot or something. So and then he I had sent him a video, one of the Alec videos, and I where we mentioned a few YouTubers. I had mentioned his name. I sent it to him to watch, and he said he almost didn't watch it because the name seemed a little fishy, a little funny, and it seemed like something that you would just not even tune into. And he said that because the name, there's probably a lot of people not joining in and subscribing to the channel and watching. They probably just won't watch it because the name is a little bit misleading, or it's a bit of a, it's he advised, he says, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You'd probably grow a lot faster and you'd have more viewers if. So, what are your potential name changes? Well, that's the next question. Lay it on me. So that's what he said. Just use your name. Just use Brody Alfonso. Just use whatever your name is, and put that in there instead of trolling the Rudy guy. That you probably have better success that way getting new subscribers. So, he also did say, he's gave me some compliments. He said he liked some of the work that I did. He liked the effort that I put into the videos. He said you put in a lot of effort, you don't get a lot of viewers, probably because of your name. So I just wanted to think what you guys had to say about that. So what if we're going to change the name? What are we going to change it to? Is it going to be the Bro Show? Is it going to be what's it going to be? I have no idea. But that's how we started. And he said, we're still pretty young, right? Let's pass this card. Let's give this a puff puff pass. So we're still pretty young. He says, we're pretty young. Yeah, it's pretty new. We're under 200, we're under 300 subscribers. So like changing the name is not a big deal. I have no idea but if you want to give me some options there, Michael Superbacker, maybe I'll throw a poll out there. Maybe I'll have to put it out to the viewers and see like what would be a more fitting name for what we do over here. I like spoofing. I like making the comedy. I like trying to make people laugh. I do like poking fun at people in a nice way. I don't like to get too overboard and say derogatory stuff, but I do like satire. I'm a huge fan of satire, self-deprecating comedy, and stuff that gets a chuckle out of folks. Because if you can't laugh at yourself, then who can you laugh at, right? Person should be able to laugh at themselves. Hey Benson, how you doing this morning? What do you got here? Morning, Benson. We got the Frickets. Flickets fur. It's 420, and we get some Flickets for the fur. Flickerit's fur. I got a good show for you. I just received my graded 7 Elvish Farmer. Very nice. Yeah, I've got a stack of Elvish Farmers. Like I got a, I've been buying that card for years. It's on the bottom 10. It's one of the underappreciated cards, and it's kind of the reason why I started the show is because like I like buying those underappreciated reserve list cards, and I've been buying them for a long time. And I always wanted to make a show about this type of content. I wanted to cover daily stocks. I wanted to cover the articles that I read on a daily basis. I wanted to show people what cards I'm buying because like for a lot of cases like people don't buy the same cards that I buy. They buy other cards, and I don't know why. So I wanted to find out from the viewers, like, is this a good set? And the stuff that I've learned from you folks from doing the channel, I've learned so much. Alfonso analysis. Ooh, Gaming Bob. Very nice. Very nice. I like the name at first because a lot of Magic investors start with Rudy, and trolling Rudy is funny. I bet Rudy finds it funny. I'm so, I'm so there too, right? Totally there. Flicker its fur. This is a card from yesterday. It's a white and 3. Return flicker its fur to owner's hand until end of turn. Creatures you control have 1/1 and indestructible. So it's like you flicker it. Flicker its fur. Get it? You flicker its fur. This card, pretty interesting, right? And the AI can come up with this. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you populate. Let's give it a puff pass on this 420 edition. April 20th stream, you know what I mean. So yeah, Alfonso analysis. I'm gonna take that's why I'm tuning in. You're doing the work. I don't want to, but need to. Thanks. You're doing the work I don't want to, but I need to. Thank you. No problem. That's why I do the show. I want to find those people like you, Astrid. I want to find the folks. Like this has allowed me to connect with so many like-minded people and like people, and I love like the comments where people like try and beat me up a little bit because they can't. They're like, oh yeah, and they give me some like some feedback, but it's honest feedback, right? I like the honest feedback. I've been getting some really good honest feedback. And like when people are honest with you, like it sometimes is not what you want to hear. It's like what you need to hear. So I like it. It means I'm getting people thinking. And then like when you're over the target, like part of me when I was listening to and if you go check out Mike Hatcher, or the historian's live stream from yesterday. It was a really good one. But like the first 20 minutes, he's like talking to me and he's like, I can't, I like your stuff. You put a lot of effort in. I can't help but think you'd grow a lot faster if you had a different name that was like just unique to you and it wasn't trolling off somebody else because your stuff is good enough that you should have your own name. You shouldn't be like, shouldn't need to do that. Right. And I was like, man, that's like a huge compliment. I really thank you for saying that. Give me something to think about. Right. All right, let's do it. Morning, folks. There's 10 of you watching, and I've got 285 subscribers here now. And thanks to the historian for sending on over some of you folks here today. I've got some cool articles here to read for you from the stock desk. I got some really interesting ones. So let's get into it here this morning. Do you like tracking the prices of Magic cards? Do you find there's enough information out there, or is there just too much information? Let me do it for you. I'm doing it each and every day, Monday through Friday, here on the morning show with the bro to the D, Brody Alphonso, here on the morning show at AlphonsoInvestments. Thank you all for watching. I got an interesting article here to go over the 12 most rare and expensive Magic cards of all time. Okay, I'll say it again. The 12 most rare and expensive Magic cards of all time. And we're going to take a look at this. But before we get into that, I'm going to talk about the future of Magic the Gathering draft and how it may be in jeopardy. I've got a couple of good articles coming to you from the folks because MTG rocks, and we like to talk about it here on the morning show. So let's get into a couple of these articles. We're going to start with the future of Magic the Gathering draft and what that means. So when I see the headline of this particular article, I think, yeah, the draft boxes are getting harder to come by, and like the draft boxes don't have the expensive cards in them like what set boosters do and collector boosters do. If you're looking for money, like if you're out there and you're new to Magic and you're like, hey, a box is a box is a box, just so you know, Wizard. So we're talking about fun value, right? The fun, like I just sort of went over, like what we budget for Magic the Gathering in a month, like depending on what um what your income level is and how much like the myth of disposable income is like a myth, right? But like there is no real disposable income. All income is like income. But if whatever you're planning on, do you like I used to, there was a time when I would try and buy a box or a case of every set that came out because there was only sets that came out 4 or 5 times a year. And the boxes that came out were the boxes of Magic cards. It was just what it was. There were no variations. There were no collector boxes. There were no set boxes and draft box. It was just a box of Magic cards. That's sort of what it used to be. Pre-release kits, always good fun. Those haven't really changed since they've been coming out. But bundles and stuff, those are another way to get your toe into the market, right, in a new set. But draft seems to be losing support from Wizards of the Coast because of the variants that keep coming out in the print runs. We're talking about collector boxers, set booster boxes, and bundles that you can't really draft with necessarily. So let's talk about it. Talk about the future of Magic the Gathering draft and how it may be in jeopardy here on the show. Since Magic first launched all the way back in '93, draft events have been a part of the game's very core, leading Magic design and philosophy for countless years. It's hard to understand the importance of draft events, despite being one of the most important long-standing formats. Draft events have nevertheless experienced several changes over Magic's lifespan. The game has experimented with different block structures and novelties. Drafts of particularly half and half a dozen distinct variations, even more when you include unique draft mechanics such as those found in conspiracy sets. As if cards like Agent of Acquisitions weren't enough of a twist, recently Wizards have been continuing this to experiment. Through the short-lived Masterpiece series and their recent reappearance as bonus sheets, Wizards has once again revolutionized Magic draft formats. These occasional bonus sheets have been beloved in addition to many players, providing players with a cacophony of reprints. The other Magic players, however, aren't so keen on their influence over the traditional draft environment. Unfortunately, these players, however, here that bonus sheets might be here to stay. This is may well mean that draft events could be forever changed. Bonus sheet bonanza. So what we're talking about is these bonus sheets that are inserted, like Kaladesh Inventions. Like it's a sheet, and then they're like, have these bonus cards, chase cards, lottery cards that are similar to the masterpieces before it. The bonus sheets have quickly become a much loved addition to Magic sets, and thanks to this, the supplemental side of product providing incredibly easy access to powerful and desirable reprints. Acquiring these cards can become so easy, in fact, that prices of the once expensive cards typically tumble exceedingly quickly. Bonus sheets are tempting players with reprints aplenty, and as well as a collectible serialized cards, many players can't get enough of the bonus sheets. So much so that recently players hoped to guide the development of Magic by requesting more bonus sheets, sharing their support for the future of Magic the Gathering's lead designer Mark Rosebottom. It seemed that players might get their way. It's 420, and they were puff passing on the AI generated Magic cards here this morning. For better or for worse, while players clarified their love for the reprints and bonus sheets that they provide, it's not their only quality. So recently, Mark Rosebottom continued to probe their audience, giggity, on Tumblr to see if bonus sheets would really become commonplace. Setting up a poll, Rosebottom specifically asked the audience about how they feel if a bonus sheet affected the draft environment, providing choices between enhances, lessens, and is neutral to the draft. Players keenly continued to share their booster sheet support. And out of 814 votes collected during this poll, 67.1% of players stated that the bonus sheet enhances the draft. Alongside this definitive majority, 19% of players voted the bonus sheets had a neutral influence, and it leaves 13% of players disapproving of their influence over many given draft environment, creating an entire draft dilemma, a conundrum, if you will. While the results of this poll provide a definite answer to Rosebottom's question, this poll may not be entirely perfect. After all, Tumblr users Lanowar Miniature points out bonus sheets aren't precisely the same as one another. Subsequently, answers this poll might not be as clear cut, no pun intended, as you might initially expect. The answer is determined by the specific cards of the sheet. The mere existence of the sheet with no other information tells us nothing about how the impact of the quality draft. Thankfully, to convey their feelings beyond the binary poll, many players took to the poll's comments to explain themselves, and here numerous Magic players continued to voice their support for the bonus sheets. They've been relatively successful in highlighting this point, where Tumblr users such as Huai, who reiterated the desire for more bonus sheets in the future, saying, "All bonus sheets I've had have either improved, limited, or just been nice throw-ins. No point removing them when they have so few downsides, ton of upsides," said Hoa. Alongside this blanket support statement, however, players suggested that while positive, Wizards shouldn't go all out on bonus sheets. Sure, reprints are nice. However, bonus sheets nevertheless pose a slippery slope that could lead to problems in the future. After all, while they've been successful thus far, there's no guarantee that a bonus sheet will always enhance the draft events, and lost numbers pointed out on Tumblr. Enhances it, but it shouldn't be overdone. Wizards has a tendency to look to anything that's successful these days and dial it up to 15 while people are sick of it. Strixhaven was the epitome of a bonus sheet done well. From the comments across social media, it seems many players are understandably concerned about this possibility of future trouble for some players. However, Wizards of the Coast has already gone too far in March of the Machine, voicing its concern, where players such as Silent Operation lamented the multiverse legends for warping the dark environment beyond recognition. I guess I'm in the minority, but I really hate what they do to limited. I didn't see a single limited archetype in either of the two pre-releases event that I did. Everyone's deck was just battle cruiser, 5 to 6 rare mythics, and whoever got to play more of them on turn 7 won the game. Furthering this point, players such as Mary Can posited that Multiverse Legends is actually quite awful from a limited perspective. is particularly thanks to the bombs such as Skithrix and the Blight Dragon, which are almost unbeatable in draft, alongside with Marakan printing of companions, which are completely lacking support within March of the Machine drafts, and the eyes have it. Unfortunately for Magic players concerned about the influence of the bonus sheets in draft, it seems they're here to stay. After all, if Rosebottom's poll is anything to go by, they are significantly more popular than not. Along with the recent request for feedback, which is met with similar support, now it seems bonus sheets are a sure thing. Subsequently, it may only be a matter of time before another one is integrated into the premier Magic the Gathering set. Thankfully, this expected the next bonus sheet will hardly be bad news when it comes to appear. Even if it's a flop in the set's draft environment, it will provide some much loved reprints either way. While this may not appease investors, for the majority of players, it's an exciting news and it's excellent overall. It can make someone's expensive cards, such as Traxa, drop in value significantly at the end of the day. Tough to argue that it's a bad thing, thanks to the popularity of Commander, and even if it does come at the expense of the hypothetically otherwise enjoyable draft format. What do you think about that? Draft in it. Do you like the bonus sheets? Do you folks like the bonus sheets? There are too many bonus sheets out there. We're split. We're split in the name. It's pretty good. Do you like the bonus sheets? Do you think there's too many? I think there's a risk of overdoing it. Like I remember Kalish Inventions, and that was like nicely done. Like 1 in 4 boxes or something like that. It was like a true chase card, but there's just the variants start really piling up. When it comes to serialized cards, I guess that turns into another bonus sheet question. But I think the point here is that the waters from here forward in the world of Magic the Gathering are going to be the landscape is completely different now in 2023 than it was in previous years. I think it's fair to say that there's a lot more variance. There's serialized cards, and the bonus sheets continue to appear. If you like drafting, I don't see where these cards appear in draft boxes. Like I know Wizards makes a draft box specifically for players, and that just used to be called a box of Magic cards, 36 packs, 1 rare, 2 uncommons, 2 or 3 uncommons, maybe a mythic, 10 commons. That used to be the lay of the land as far as Magic the Gathering packs go, but now that's being redefined as a draft boost. Set boosters, of course, have more rares in them. I think a couple of rares and more uncommons, shiny cards that you can't get in the draft boosters. So, like, they've changed the landscape of the game by redefining what a box of Magic cards is. Now a draft booster box is just a standard box of Magic cards. What do you folks think? Do you like? Let's close this poll. Let's start another one. Do you like the bonus sheet? Do you like? I'm interested in if it's not as simple as yes or no. Uh, Maybe you can explain if it's done nicely. Yes, I like it when it's done, with some limited availability. Do you like it when it's done, do you like, they wish they didn't do it at all? It's a good question. I think from here on in, if you're going to be, buying Magic cards, we have to think a little bit differently. Myself, if I want to draft, I'm buying pre-release kits of the new sets that come out just to see, get a taste, get a flavor, get an experience. I wanted to see how battles worked out, and I actually got to play some really good matchups with the battle cards, so that was really good. But my deck, it's funny reading this article, and it made me chuckle because my deck in the pre-release was literally a battle cruiser deck. It was like bomb. It was mono bombs. Like look back at my shorts video, it was like Itali, Omnath, Thirsting Bloodlord, Hazaret, and like if I could if I could stick the bombs, I had just more bombs than anybody, and they were good. So it's like 5-6 mana. Whoever can get to 7 and stick their bombs wins. That I totally experienced that. So I think it's kind of funny. It changes. The landscape has changed. Old booster boxes are not new booster boxes are not the same as old booster boxes. There was kind of the dawning of the silver and the golden age of sealed investing. So just be really careful. Don't get sucked in to throwing your hard-earned money at something that may not pay off because there's just so much of it. You might even be buying the wrong. Know what you're buying. Know that what you're if you're just a Timmy, if you're new to Magic, if you're not sure what, and I find this a lot. How about Christmas presents or birthday presents? Have you ever received Magic the Gathering as a birthday present or as a Christmas present from somebody who's a muggle, a non-Magic person, who's like, "Yeah, I bought you some Magic packs for Christmas or for your birthday. Did you get anything good?" Well, the it's kind of funny because I feel like Wizards is duping those people who buy Magic as a gift, because those people who don't play it don't know which packs will have the expensive cards in it. They're just like buying it because they're like, "Oh, I bought you some packs for Christmas, or I bought you a box for your birthday." And don't get me wrong, like the 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 point of giving a gift is in the giving, but when it's hard to decide, like, it's like plastic apples. You're like, "Oh, I bought you some apples, but I didn't realize they're plastic apples." Like, if I had have known there was real apples right next to it, but I can't really tell the difference because I'm not a Magic player. People buy the plastic apples as gifts and give them to people, and are like, "Hey, I hear there's a new card," or even if they ask at the store, like, really takes some explaining to people who are buying packs for other people and don't play the game. And I could imagine that people who are new to Magic, who think just packs are packs are packs, what you can get in set boosters versus collector boosters versus draft boosters when it comes to the bonus sheet, right? So something to think about. I'd like to hear your comments, your thoughts. What do you guys like do you guys like you like the bonus sheets? Let me know in the comment section. Let's check a look here. Astrid says box with 1 pack collectors, the rest draft, and only 8 people can buy the box. Tommy Siddon says he loves the bonus sheet as long as they don't reprint things I just acquired thinking it won't be reprinted anytime soon. Yeah, right. It's totally a feel bad. Visiting comic stores, there's a shelf now where the purchase is limited to a comic per person. Maybe return to that. Interesting comments here this morning. I love it. Got some really good comments. Alec Kraken Apakis. We love. All right, cool. Yeah, I like the spoofs. Right, I like doing the spoofs. I mean, the comedy. I want to do more of that. I've got scripts here for 2 more episodes of Between Two Boosters. I just need time to film it. I also got to do some mail outs for you guys. I got my thank you gifts sitting on deck. I got one from Michael Superbacker. I got some from Johan Matuzzi. I got one for Benson. I got gifts to give away. I got stuff that I'm sitting on here. I just got to get it out in the mail. A little more time. Considering I draft every weekend and you can't do sealed with set boosters, I'm not sure they will go away anytime soon. It's not that they're going to go away. It's just that you can't get if you got hard-earned money and you got to pick one or the other. I mean, I like drafting, right? For sure. But it's like when you only got $100, you're like, "Ooh, I could get 2 collector boosters or I could draft and go for nachos," right? Vote for today's poll. Let's take a look at some really great. Did I miss the channel names? No, we're just discussing if I should change the channel name. I'm still Brody. I DM'd you a suggested name I've been sitting on. Cool. All right. If you just, I'm gonna put a link in this description to the live stream there. Let's check out the 12 most rare and expensive Magic the Gathering cards of all times. And it's not the cards you would think it is. I mean, okay, it is some of the cards you would think it is, but I want to read this article for you folks because it's a good one and it's going to leave you with something to think about when it comes to Magic the Gathering. Let's check it out. Let's read this article here for you. Hey, all right. 12 most rare and expensive Magic cards. We got a list here: Time Walk, Copy Artifact, Mox Pearl, Ancestral Recall, Mox Emerald, the usual suspects: Mox Ruby, Shivan Dragon, Vesuvian Doppelganger, Lower to the Pit, Black Lotus, and then Shifukuken Shichifukugen Dragon. Shichifukugen Dragon. Have you heard of this card? We're going to get to it. 1996, a World Championship card named after Chom Champeng. And if you looked at How Good Was Savannah Lions video that we posted a while back, we talk about how good Sarah Angel was, Tom Champeng, the blueless white weenie deck, and where that card comes from. While it hasn't always been this way for the longest time, and Magic the Gathering has been perceived as an incredibly expensive game, considering that the deck in most formats can cost at least a few $100 now, and this reputation isn't surprising. Thankfully, there are compelling budget deck options for thrifty players to enjoy. There are cheap cards, however. There are also those that are much more expensive. Having existed since 1993, it's safe to say that Magic the Gathering is an immense number of cards. In fact, according to Scryfall Wizards' release and teased 26,043 cards to date. As you might expect, some of these are significantly more expensive than others, thanks to being beloved, powerful, and above all else, rare. Ticking all these boxes are many of the Magic's oldest cards, initially played upon the rough concrete of the playground and discarded as worthless. Many Magic's oldest cards have become exceptionally rare, coupled with this fact that these power cards, which are still stand out as being the best in the game, and it's easy to see why they're expensive and exceedingly expensive in the case of pristinely graded examples. Which cards often get sold at auction? And we're speaking of auctions here today. We know that the Black Lotus, the one that was signed in the case by Christopher Rush, uh, a pristine 10 sold for 550,000 US dollars just earlier this year. We're going to be speaking of auctions, and we're going to be using data from collectible auction house giant PWCC. Disclaimer, disclaimer, there's been controversy around PWCC, and you can look that up for yourself. I'm not going to cover it here, but there's always some risks of buying and selling at auctions. So keep in mind, we were talking about auctions from PWCC that people have been talking about before. So not to say that all auctions are bad, but just be conservative and be careful when you're shopping at auctions. Make sure that the person bidding next to you doesn't have an interest, isn't the buyer or seller's brother or sister. So covering the rarest and most expensive Magic cards of all time without any more waffling outside of the brief, want to warn you and brace yourself for some eye-watering prices. Let's get right into this immensely high price list. Time Walk. I'm going to say all the cards that are on the first 12 or the first 10 or 9 of these cards are all from the Alpha Edition, including Time Walk, $27,600 to kick off the list. This 420 stream. Time Walk, sold at PWCC earlier this year, a graded copy, a 9.5, according to PWCC, sold for $27,600. For comparison, it's just $170 shy of the price for a brand new 2023 Ford Mustang. Beyond being one of the oldest Magic cards, it's been expertly preserved. Time Walk is an exceptionally powerful card, gaining the caster an extra turn for just 2 mana. This spell is infinitely powerful, so much so that it is lauded by the Magic community as one of the Power 9. In case you're unfamiliar with these cards, limited edition Alpha are also one of the strongest in the game, so much so that Wizards dares to never reprint them, enshrining them into the reserve list. This is a reserve list card. Also, just so you folks are aware, I was watching, reading some comments or reading some articles yesterday. There's some controversy going around about the artist of this particular card, and I'm not sure what it is. I'm waiting for more news to come out on that. There may have been some comments or some torn up cards or some artist proofs that were torn up. I'm not too sure what that's all about, but there's going to be, if you haven't heard about it yet, you're going to hear about it now. There may be some more news coming down the pipe for this particular artist, having had posted some cards or something on an Instagram feed that I cannot find. Pairing up artist proofs and making some comments about it. I'm not too sure what it's about, but keep your ears open. There may be some discussion about the Time Walk artist, who is one of the one of the aforementioned artists who illustrated the Power 9. Copy Artifact, number 11 on the list here, $29,400 sold. It's not one of the Power 9 cards, however. You can still get it in revised, and it isn't quite that powerful. But being said, it's certainly powerful enough to copy a Black Lotus, or even alternatively create a duplicate of Blightsteel Colossus and end the game rather quickly. Copy Artifact is a powerful card, typically not all too expensive, having been reprinted numerous times prior to the reserve list inception. Copy Artifact can be quite cheap on TCG Player. Revised copies are only as low as $32, but this one that sold on an auction sale for $29,400 is similar to Time Walk in the way that this copy Artifact is one of the rarest of the rare sets from Alpha, was receiving a 9.5 gem mint grade from Beckett, and thanks to the pristine grading of this copy Artifact, it was a Renegade 168 Star City boat. StarCraft Renegade. You could have bought a StarCraft Renegade 168 boat or the copy Artifact. Number 10 on the list is Mox Pearl. Again, another alpha card for $34,000, record-breaking card. These are the most expensive Magic cards sold at a PWCC auction in history. $34,800 for the Mox Pearl. This is the weaker of all the Moxes. So $34,800, you can get yourself a brand new Cessna 182 or a perfect grade 10, tremendously valuable Mox Pearl. And alongside achieving this perfect grade from PSA, Mox Pearl is also an incredibly powerful card, but not the most powerful of the Moxins. On its own, without even being combined with untapping combos for infinite mana, the Mox Pearl is a staple, continues to be played in countless vintage decks where money is no object. Likely, people are going to be playing the beta copies because they don't have the rounded corners. All these alpha cards may only be able to be played if they're sleeved, because the corners on these alpha cards is different. They are, some people consider them not tournament legal. I'm not too sure if you have an alpha card in your deck, if you can feel it through a sleeve to know if it's alpha or beta, but most people aren't playing the alpha cards, let's face it. Number 9 on the list is Ancestral Recall, coming in at $37,200, a perfect gem mint 10, sold at PWCC for over $30,000 at $37,200. And if that amount of money doesn't get you excited, you could buy a brand new 660 you can buy 5 60 horsepower jet skis for that amount of money. Number 8 on the list of the most expensive Magic cards of all time is this Mox Emerald for $37,200 as well. This PSA Premium number 10, graded 10 gem mint, was sold at auction, which makes it a little bit better because it makes green mana, unlike the Mox Pearl, who is the least sought after of the mana choices, making white. It's slightly, thanks to this important difference, the Mox Emerald is slightly more expensive than the Mox Pearl because it taps for a little bit more of a desirable mana base. A wad of cash will get you for $37,200, get you 5 more 60 horsepower jet skis. The Mox Ruby topping the list at $39,600. That's sold. And out of the 15 Mox cards that Wizards has printed so far, Mox Ruby is the most expensive, commanding a 2,000 price bump over the next most expensive card. This Mox has one of the major things going for it. It's red. Joking aside, there isn't a definite reason for the significant price bump on the surface, and after all, this is played in same decks as other Power 9 Moxes. Usually it's the Sapphire that costs the most, but let's go up to number 6 and see what we're going to see here. Shivan Dragon from Alpha. All right, how much did this sucker sell for? $44,400. In fact, a slight break from the Shivan Dragon is not a Power 9 card. In fact, Shivan Dragon isn't even on the reserve list. Worse than that, it isn't even one of the best dragons in Magic. If anything, it's one of the worst dragons Magic has to offer, especially considering its heritage, costing 6 mana and only being a 5/5 with flying and fire breathing. Shivan Dragon is nothing to write home about, but with that being said, the dragon isn't the most exciting Magic card. It's nonetheless beloved to the community because of the artwork on it by Melissa Benson, and becoming a fan of collectors to fawn over, leading to some truly immense prices. The highest of these prices was obtained in 2022 by a Beckett graded 9/5, Mint example, as you can tell from the subheading, this card sold for a staggering $44,400. If buying a near pristine Shivan Dragon wasn't for you, that money could easily purchase 40 sets of Black Crow's Solis skis. Number 5, coming in, is the Vesuvan Doppelganger, which sold for $63,000. It's a clone that can change its form in each and every time that you go through your upkeep. It's exciting, and despite being far from the most powerful cards in Magic the Gathering, it is on the reserve list. This is thanks to, in February 2023 auction, the dizzying $63,000 price tag that was hit by the Vesuvan Doppelganger was enough to buy 150 pairs of Vans authentic shoes. To explain this price tag, this copy of Vesuvan Doppelganger was graded a 9.5, and it makes it par with one of the highest quality examples, as no Vesuvan Doppelganger has ever been graded higher. So the 9.5 is the highest ever graded Vesuvan Doppelganger from Alpha. There is no other higher condition quality card in circulation. They do track they call it population. So if you're new to card grading and you're new to Magic cards, there is a population report that goes with the grading companies. Number 4 on the list is Lord of the Pit from Alpha as well. An interesting card here. This card is actually, and worth noting, this card is actually playable in this day and age. There's a commander out there that I would like to play this card. There's a commander out there that donates a creature to your opponents, goads it, puts two 1/1 counters on it, and it cannot attack you for the rest of the game. So Lord of the Pit is a card that's playable again in this day and age. It's got flying, it's got trample, and if you don't sacrifice the creature during your upkeep, it does 7 damage to you. Now, this is one of the cards on the list here that's actually seeing play in this day and age. So maybe the Lord of the Pit is a little bit underseen. Similar to Vesuvan before it, the Lord of the Pit sold for $105,000 in January 2023. An auction at PWCC sold the alpha graded PSA version of the Lord of the Pit for $105,000, and with that money, you could buy 42,168 cheeseburgers from McDonald's. Considering that Lord of the Pit can be yours for 16 cents on TCG Player and other printings, this immense price tag might be quite a shock, but thankfully there's a good reason. This Lord of the Pit is so much because it was graded a pristine 10. The Lord of the Pit is in a league of its own, unmatched in quality. Subsequently, with this incredible quality in mind, it's no wonder this is unassuming Lord of the Pit sold for so much. A pristine 10 Alpha Lord of the Pit coming in at $100,000. Now, it's surprisingly to see that the Black Lotus is number 3 on the list here. So if you folks are new to Magic and you're, you've heard of the Black Lotus, maybe we've all heard of the Black Lotus. Let's check this out. The Black Lotus coming in at number 3 on the list. You're like, Brody, the Black Lotus has always got to be number 1. But if you didn't know before here, folks, thanks for tuning in on the Bro Show here this morning at, what are we called now? What's the name of the show? MTG Gaming Bob, what do we call ourselves? It's the Alfonso, what do we call it? Alfonso Analysis. Here on Alfonso Analysis, right? All right. We're going to give you a look at this Black Lotus at Alpha. $800,000 for this Alpha. More than any other Magic card, the Black Lotus has a history of being the most expensive card around, thanks to it being, by most account, the best Magic card in existence, costing nothing and providing 3 mana. Black Lotus is simply unmatched in its ramp ability. Subsequently, this card, found within basically every vintage deck, provided that the owner can afford a copy. It's on the low end. A beaten up Black Lotus is going to cost you $10,000. But when it comes to the graded copies, however, the prices surprisingly move quickly and they rocket up. If you ever want to talk graded cards, talk to Dual Brain. Talk to Ed the Dual Brain. He knows a lot about card grading. He's graded cards. He knows what it takes. And multiplier on some of these graded cards causes them to rocket up, as collectors understandably want the legendary card. On PWCC alone, there's countless high-priced copies for sale of the Black Lotus, many of which deserve a spot on this list. However, it's limited to just the highest sale, so the Black Lotus could claim 8 spots on its own. Out of all of these, a record $540,000 sale was sold in March 16th of 2023 this year, which is the highest recorded auction price for the Black Lotus to date. There is, however, one Black Lotus that's even more expensive. In 2022, an interview with Howard Stern, Post Melon. Okay, so Post Melon apparently paid $800,000 for a signed artist proof by Christopher Rush, proving that loaning the celebrity status to the game of Magic the Gathering is another way to get some cards into your collection. So technically, it's a signed artist proof, but this card isn't eligible to be played in tournaments. However, that being said, it is the most expensive Black Lotus ever sold because Post Melon uh, was willing to loan his, pay $800,000 for it and overbid for the one that sold earlier this year. So last year, he bought one for $800,000, showing that if things work out for you and you want to loan your likeness to Wizards of the Coast as a celebrity, yeah, you want to get your own secret lair, you can crowdfund and you can fund your way into this the most expensive card in the game, most expensive version of the Black Lotus here. But this brings me to this number 2 card here on the list. This is I never even heard about this card before. I don't even know what it does. I'm going to read it here for the first time, and it's hard to pronounce. It's Shishifukujin Dragon. Have you guys ever heard of the Shishifukujin Dragon? I have not, but let's read the card. Shishifukujin Dragon costs 9 mana, 3 red and 6. It's a dragon, it's a 0/0, and when it enters the battlefield, put 7+1/+1 counters on it. You can play 3 and sacrifice 2+1/+1 counters and put 3 counters on it. Shishifukujin Dragon at end of turn. Play this ability as a sorcery. So you sack 2 counters and then put 3 counters on it. Play this ability as a sorcery. I gotta read this card. I have no idea anything about this card. This card is priceless. While the Black Lotus may be the most expensive Magic card ever sold, the next 2 picks are the most expensive cards never sold. The first of which we'll be talking about is the Shishifukujin Dragon, which was created in 1996. This card was designed by Wizards to honor Magic the Gathering's presence in Japan, celebrating the launch of a Duelist Convocation International Tournament Center in Tokyo. This card showcased Wizards' commitment to the region, inspired by the country's culture and the 7 deities of luck. Several copies of the Shishifukujin Dragon were reportedly printed. All but one of these, however, were destroyed before Wizards presented the last copy of the DCI Tournament Center's opening day. From this day, the one and only copy of the Shishifukujin Dragon would remain in place at the Tournament Center. That was until 2003, until Wizards of the Coast, when this DCI Tournament Center was closed. Since then, the card has resided within the Hobby Japan held office in Tokyo. Thankfully, while incredibly rare, this card makes occasional appearances at Grand Prix tournaments, much to the delight of fans. As a ceremonial one-of-one Magic card, it's safe to say that the Shishifukujin Dragon is expensive. How expensive, however, that's unfortunately impossible to say, as the card is never and likely will never be sold, so subsequently it's hard to say that the Shishifukujin Dragon is anything other than priceless. Which brings us to the number 1 card on our list. This is a card that we talked about when we covered the Blueless White Weenie deck and the How Good Savannah Lions was actually video. If you want to check out that video, you're more than welcome to. This is a card that was presented to the winner of the 1996 Magic the Gathering World Championships. Let's take a look at this card. This card's also priceless, and from around the same time period as Shishifukujin Dragon, Wizards created another one-of-one Magic card. As the subheading gives way, this card is simply titled 1996 World Champion. If you didn't know what this card does, let's read it. It costs 1 of every mana. It's a star. It can't be the target of spells or effects. And the World Champion has power and toughness equal to the life total of target opponent. So it's got the power and toughness. It's got the perfect stat to club your opponent if you can hit them with it. You can pay 0, discard your hands, search your library for this creature card, this legend, and reveal it to all players. Shuffle your library and put World Champion on top of it. Use this ability only at the beginning of your upkeep and only if it's in your library. So you can pay 0, just go get it out of your library, put it on top. So let's take a look at what this card does. All right, that's what it does. And surprisingly, it's considering its name, this card was created for and given away to the winner of the 1996 World Championships in Seattle. The player lucky enough to receive the celebratory card from Wizards of the Coast was Australian-born Tom Champagne. We talk about Tom Champagne and the blueless white weenie deck in the How Good Was Savannah Lions video. If you want to check that out, you can take a look at what was in the deck and why it's called that. Somewhat remarkably, unlike the Dragon, the 1996 champion technically has a price, as in 2001, Champagne sold their one-of-one card to a private collector for $17,500. Since this sale, however, the value of this prized collection card is believed to have skyrocketed significantly. That is the expectation, at least, as the private collector has not listed the card for sale during their ownership. This small detail, however, hasn't stopped the opportunistic players from trying to sell fake copies of it for upwards of $200,000. Ultimately, like the Dragon, this is one-of-one Magic card would be exceptionally expensive if ever sold. However, it's unclear what if that will ever happen, and it's hard to call 1996 World Champion anything other than priceless. After all, it's exactly what is in the eyes of many Magic the Gathering players, which brings us to the number 0 slot, the One Ring. Are we starting to see a revisiting of these one-of-one cards that Wizards of the Coast has done in the past by way of the Shifukugan Dragon and the World Champion? Here's a One Ring. $1 million. What's going to happen? We should be interested to know. And we're going to be following this and seeing what happens. And especially with it in 2023, when Wizards of the Coast was launching Lord of the Rings, the Tales of Middle-earth, alongside with being highly prized direct to the modern releases. This set also pushes the bounds of collectability. And the first time ever, Wizards is going to be creating a one-of-one serialized Magic card. This is not the first one-of-one that Wizards has ever created, as we have seen with the World Championship card and the Shifukugan Dragon, but the One Ring is the first one that's serialized and aptly ties in with the Lord of the Rings franchise infinite. Technically, considering it's not even out yet, we shouldn't even be talking about it, but that being said, this card is more deserving of a spot on this list already. Just maybe this is not high, even before released. The One Ring has already got a bounty clocking in at $100,000. While this is obviously no small amount of money, it is pittance compared to the expected price. With hype steadily building around the launch of the One Ring sales, Tales of Middle-earth, the serialized One Ring is only getting more expensive. Subsequently, Magic the Gathering players are expecting to sell it for $1 million easily. While this is a price that is obviously worth getting excited about, I hope Michael Superbacker opens it, or MTG Gaming Bob. It's unfortunately a catch. First and foremost, as a one-of-one card that is being placed within out of 3 million collector boosters, it's possible that this card may never be found. Subsequently, this obviously means that it may never get sold. Even if it does get found, however, this card may not even be safe. The card may not even be safe, as despite the immense value, many Magic players are eager to throw this card into a volcano. Just in case you were wondering, $1 million could purchase 22,000 18-karat gold replicas of the One Ring. Well, there you have it, folks. That's the interesting part of the show today. I never had heard of that Shifukugan Dragon. I didn't know about it until I read of it. I had heard of the 1996 World Championship card. And I'm going to have to blast through some movers and the shakers here this morning with you folks, because it is about that time. We know. Did you guys know about the Shifukugan Dragon? Did you know about the 1996 World Championship World Champion card? Was that something you were aware of? Well, if you thought the Black Lotus was the most expensive card in the game of Magic the Gathering, well, cards that haven't sold yet? Perhaps. There's some more rare cards in the world of Magic the Gathering. Let's take a look. Here are your movers and the shakers here today. We're going to discuss it a little bit here this morning. Here, what's on the legacy list? And Just I'm gonna give you a little disclaimer here before we go any farther. There's a mail opening video coming up in the future, just so you folks know, and one of those cards that we just read about is going to be in Brody's mail opening video. So if you didn't hear that right, let me say it one more time. There's going to be a mail opening video, and out of the 12 cards that we just listed as the 12 most expensive cards in the game of Magic the Gathering, going all the way from top to bottom, there is one of those cards is on its way to the Brody Alphonso Investment channel. Okay, just to let you folks know, in fact, I'll say it again, one of those cards on that top 12 most expensive cards list is on its way to me in and it will be coming to you folks on a Cartoons with Brody in the future mail opening video. I can't wait for you folks to join me. Stay tuned. All right. Yes, in fact, there is one of those cards on its way to me. So I'm pretty excited. I'll be excited to bring that to you folks here this morning. We're going to breeze through the music movers and the shakers list here this morning because Brody's rambling on here this morning. It's been a good stream, but I do have to bring you folks the movers and the shakers here this morning. Let's check it out. Coming in at the top of the list, we're doing Legacy today because it's Thursday, and that's the day we do Legacy. Let's check it out. Send me some suggested names. I do want to know. WotC needs to appeal, though, to those providing the most revenue Magic, not necessarily the largest number of players. The masses may want things that are not healthy for the game, similar to allowing children to take whatever they want from the candy store. In many respects, it's like the marshmallow test, which is what happened to all reprints. Some good comments. Tom Mitchell's joining us here today. Thank you, Tom, for tuning in. Need a Solitude for my deck the whole time. I was playing with it. I was thinking I might be able to get it for 20 bucks. Just wait for another 2 reprints. Yeah, that's like me with doubling season. I'm like literally going to wait till I open one, not go buy it for $90. Which one set a year had... I wish one set a year had one box. No drat collector box. Just one box with the possibility of pulling all the cards. To be clear, the more they reprint the value, the more cards. Some pretty great comments here this morning. Thanks. Tommy Siddons is here. Dual Brain is here. I'm back. Had to upload. Nice. Dr. Timmy's Emporium will probably be close to getting on this list. Shivan Dragon. I know, right? What's a Vint lol? I don't know either. Happy to show you. If you like, you can ask me on your stream. Easiest way is to compare it side by side. Michael Superbacker. Revised and Unlimited do not look the same. There are videos that show the difference. The easiest way is to compare them side by side. Unlimited has a thicker border. And I think one of them has the date on it, if I'm not mistaken. It's difficult to tell Unlimited from Vise. It is. And this is your movers of the shakers for today. Jazem Dejin hitting the top of the list. Is this the legacy list? I don't have Jazem Dejin. Card I wish I had, and this is a card I got my eye on. I would like to get myself a copy of it. Let's see. Is it legal? Yeah, it is legal in Legacy. I've never played anybody playing Jazem Dejin. There's copies available, $2,000 for this big Dejin. Now, this used to be here's an interesting fact about Jazem Dejin. Look at the artists on here. Mark Tedin. I like a little bit of history for you. Mark Tedin was the first artist to illustrate the first 5/5, the first 10/10, and the first 15/15 Magic card. That being the Jazem Dejin, the 10/10. I think that was the Leviathan, and the first 15/15 is Emrakul the Aeon's Torn. So like Mark Tedin usually gets the big creatures. First, right? He's the artist to draw the first 5/5, the first 10/10, and the first 15/15 creature in Magic the Gathering. If Magic decides to print a bigger, badder beastie, they usually go to Mark Tedin first to create the art for it, and this card is no exception. A pretty awesome card. It looks like it costs 2 mana, but it's 4. This card is still played in old school, vintage, and legacy. It wins games. and it can be cast on turn 1 with a Dark Ritual, a Mox, and 1 black mana. It's a 5/5. It costs 1. It's really good in old school with the downside of dealing 1 damage to you. Decks using it. It's funny to look here. Sliver Queen is using it. Well, I'll tell you here. I'll tell you the information that they're not telling you on this website. Old school plays it. Vintage plays it. And I've never seen a deck in Legacy play it, but it's on the Legacy list. This is a good card. This card's a card that I'd be like, look at this. Heavily played Juzum Djinns, $1,500. This is like a pickup. This is a card that should be on anybody who's like putting a buy list together. Like, I want to get a copy of the Bazaar of Baghdad or maybe the Guardian Beast, but maybe the Juzum Djinn towards the end of the year is going to be a pretty decent pickup. Illusionary Mask. Here's a card that's a precursor to here's a card that's a precursor to Morph. This is the inspiration to Morph. This card's moving up again, $287. It's on the reserve list. It's Moxman had a pretty cool story about this card. I liked it, where he said player put Ali from Cairo on the battlefield with an Illusionary Mask, a card that you can't lose the game for your life total going below 1. But let's read this card. You may choose a creature card. It's a 2 mana artifact. It's on the reserve list. This is an unlimited version. If you look, a good example, Michael Superbacker talking about distinction between the art and the color of Revised. This card was not reprinted in Revised. So this one costs 2 mana. You can play it for 2 X, and you choose a creature card from your hand whose mana cost could be paid by some amount of mana or all mana that you spend on X. If you do, you may cast that card face down as a 2/2 creature without paying its mana cost. If the creature spell becomes if that creature that spell becomes, as it resolves, has not been turned face up, would assign or deal combat damage, or deal combat damage, it becomes tapped and instead turn it face up. So you put it in the long and short, you pay X, and it has to be some amount of mana that could be paid. And so you can overpay for it to hide the cost. You got to pay at least the mana cost, converted mana cost of the creature. So this is an interesting way to put a creature onto the battlefield that costs colored mana for colorless mana. So the Illusionary Mask allows you to put it face down, and you can do this as many times as you want. It's be an interesting card. Is it legal in Commander? Yeah, it's legal in Commander. So why not? You could put it if it would assign damage, be dealt damage, or become tapped instead of turn face up, and it assigns and deals damage and it becomes tapped. Activate only as a sorcery. It's a pretty cool card. If you want to hide some creatures, if you want to play them face down for colorless mana, pretty interesting card. If you're having trouble casting cards with multiple mana pips, the Illusionary Mask can do that for you. It's $140 from eBay. There's one available for $230 at Card Kingdom. An interesting card, some quirky card. If you want to play a Morph deck, this would be an expensive addition to it. Maybe not. Tano's Coffin, up 9% this morning here on the Movers and the Shakers list today. An Antiquities card on the reserve list. We got 4 cards this morning, all on the reserve list. Another card, Juzum Djinn, Illusionary Mask, Tano's Coffin, and Sedge Troll. Ice and Manipulator from Unlimited. That's a decent card, but it's also not on the reserve list. Let's take a look at Tano's Coffin. This is removal in Artifact, okay? You can pay 4 for this artifact. It comes into the battlefield. Pay 3, select a creature in play. That creature is considered out of play as long as Tano's Coffin remains tapped. The new wording on the card just says, exile target creature and all ores attached to it. Note the number of counters that were on the creature. When it leaves the battle, when Tano's Coffin leaves the battlefield, it becomes untapped. You return it to the battlefield under its owner control tapped. Note the number of counters on it if you do return the other exiled cards to the battlefield under their owner's control, all attached to that permanent. So the creature comes back with all the counters that it had or all the enchantments that it had on it. It could be your creature if you want to blink it and save it and remove it from combat or remove it from the battlefield. You can also use it to put your opponent's creature. It's pretty good removal. It does only one at a time, so it's pretty good removal. If you can untap this, you can use it to remove creatures from combat. If you can tap it, exile it, remove it from combat, somehow untap it and do it again, this can definitely sort of blink your opponent's creatures. If something's getting targeted by a spell, you can put it in the coffin and blink it and get some evasion out of the card. It's a decent card. It's on the reserve list. It's one I'd like to get. It's $195. Dex playing it Braids. The Conjurer is actually Braids the Conjurer playing this card. Let's see here. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player may put an artifact, creature, or land card from their hand onto the battlefield. Playing Tano's Coffin? I don't see it on this list. Misinformation, disinformation. $100 for a good copy in Card Kingdom right now. If you want to play, you want to get a beat up copy, you can get it for $100. Showing 195. These cards, like, let's pull back the chart on the Tano's Coffin. We got a bit of a tabletop pattern here. Let's look at this one here for a second. We got I just wanted Brody just wants to put lines on charts here. We got a bit of a flag here. It went up during Ixalan, and then it's seen its second leg up around Kaldheim, and it's been drifting lower. This card's going to continue to drift lower until we see correction in the secondary market. Trying to get through 2023 without spending as little money as possible on these new printings. There's people actually exiting Magic the Gathering, and this may see another leg up in price once the prices of reserve list cards get low enough that people start buying them out again. This could be a potential target. It's an antiquities card. It's a reserve list rare. It's a decent one. And here's a card where I don't know why this is on the reserve list. Here's a card, Sedge Troll. Now look at the difference in color versions of the card. The alpha, beta. Let's look at this is a very weird card, okay? So look at the color variation on these two cards, Michael Superbacker. So here's the difference. There's a revised card on your right and an unlimited card on the left, okay? So if you were ever wondering what the difference is between unlimited and revised, a card like Sedge Troll is a pretty good example. The color saturation of the card on the left in the revised copy or in the unlimited copy is unmistakable, and the revised copy on the right has the red border just like every other red card in the set. So the other part that I want to look at here is if we zoom in just a little bit more, is on the bottom of the card here. Michael Superbacker, you see where the artist name is Dan Fraser, and it's in white, and it sits just above the white border of the card. When we look at the unlimited version, the artist name is actually a middle of the red part of the border. It doesn't sit so far down. So that's another way to distinguish unlimited from revised. The revised copy, the artist name, if you see illustrated Dan Fraser, it seems to be sitting lower on the border and sitting right on top of the white border. And on the unlimited version, it's more centered. So that'll be the same for all other all unlimited cards. If you can't tell from the gradient and the color saturation on the card, then that's another way to tell. If it looks like a card like Savannah Lions, is very hard to tell the difference between unlimited and revised. Sedge Troll is a 2/2. It's a 2/2 with black to regenerate it. I don't know why this was put on the reserve list. It makes no sense to me, but it's on there and it's expensive because it is $100 for this reserve list rare Sedge Troll. You can pay a black and it gets +1/+1 while its controller has swamps in play. So if you got black mana, the Sedge Troll is a 3/3 with regenerate. Interesting card. Makes no sense to me why the card is actually on the reserve list. I've seen a cool comment fly by here. Somebody's talking about the blue hurricane. What do I do with my summer magic boxes? There's no such thing. Also, Unlimited has a dual border. What about Summer Magic Hurricane versus Revised? Well, the Summer Magic Hurricane is blue. So, maybe that's a way to tell. Jusm did not spike with everything last time. No, it didn't. Told him. Who did Merit Lage? Good question. Let's take a look. People are outrageous and all still stuck in 2020 pricing, right? Interesting. Yeah, these are like 2020 prices, right? Icy Manipulator, here's a card, $133. This one didn't make it on the reserve list. I actually thought this was a rare when I was playing Magic the Gathering for the first time. That's a hilarious comment. I love it. Icy Manipulator, if you look at this one, this is where, like, okay, so the invention of the tap symbol. Here's another way to tell the difference between unlimited and revised. Okay, Michael Superbacker or anybody who's new to Magic. If you note here, this is from a period, it says mono artifact right on this card here, right here, mono artifact. And this is before the tap symbol. So the way we used to describe this is mono artifact means use it to use it. So you have to turn it sideways. And a poly artifact meant like it just did it all the time. So poly meant like it was like there was poly artifact, continuous artifact, and mono artifact. So mono meaning one, you can only use it one time. So you have to use it, meaning you had to tap it. So there was a mana symbol on here. You may so if you before the tap symbol and people knew what mono artifact actually meant, people would use this and activate it, try to activate it many times. Later on, they came up with the tap symbol. So any cards in revised will have this tap symbol that was added. So if you're confused about any artifacts, whether they're from unlimited or revised, look for the tap symbol. That may be a telling way to distinguish whether or not the cards from unlimited or revised. Icy Manipulator still seeing play in this day and age. A card that's a little better than it if you want to tap your Howling Mine. I've said it before, folks, and I'll say it again. If you want to get a nice Legends card, say you don't want to spend 133 bucks, but you still want to tap some stuff, go get yourself a Relic Barrier for $9.27 from Legends. This is a great card, and it's only 2 mana. You can cast it off Soul Ring, and you can tap artifacts. So if you, whether you're playing the Icy Manipulator and you need another way to turn off the Howling Mine or tap artifacts, the Relic Barrier is another option for you. It costs $20 or $9 for a Legends one. It's really nice, and it's a black border. The Icy Manipulator is pretty sweet. I like the Relic Barrier. Oh, Shii. That's right, Relic Barrier. I mean, I couldn't afford the Icy Manipulator, so I went with the Relic Barrier. But, one day you can always turn up. Here, Mountain. Why is a basic Mountain on the movers and the shakers list? This makes no sense. Well, speaking of print sheets, and speaking about what do you call them? Bonus sheets? All right, the bonus sheet here, let's check it out. 240 bucks. This was a card that was put in. It's the only basic land in Arabian Nights. There are no other ones. If you look here, this common. Why is it common? Well, it's common because it's not so common. It's expensive. Arabian Nights set symbol on it, black border. This is a pretty blinged out copy of the Mountain. There's people who just put this in their deck because they want to make it look fancy. $179 for the good morning. $179 for the Arabian Nights Mountain. There's some available on Card Kingdom. I don't own a single one of them. It's not reserve list. It's just really rare. If you look behind me here, there's a print sheet here. I got this print sheet, uncut sheet of War of the Spark. If you are wondering why this Mountain is so expensive, and if you're looking through the bulk bin or you're looking through a land box at a card store and you can find an Arabian Nights Mountain, try and pick it up. See what they'll sell it for. If they don't want much for it, maybe take it with you. The reason this card's so expensive is that they had one spot left on the sheet and they didn't know what to put in there. I guess they put the Mountain in there as to make up the print sheet. They could have put any other card. They could have put any land, but the Mountain made it onto the Arabian Nights sheet. And since then, it's definitely gone up in price as the only basic land from the Arabian Nights set. Old school players, players who like some sweet bling in their deck will throw that Guru lands, or or just put it in your draft deck, right? Throw it in your draft deck, right? If you're going through the land box at draft and they got some Arabian Nights Mountains in there, throw it in there, unsleep. Give it a riffle shuffle, sit down, play it. It's good. Never Enrolls Disc. This is a card that's actually seen some play nowadays. When I'm playing the Urborg Tyrant, the Larry Nevin, the Nevinrill, the Urborg Tyrant, it was nice to finally get the Planeswalker. Let's take a look here. Let's see if we can spell it. It's actually a palindrome for Larry Nevin. Nevinrill, Larry Nevin. It's spelled backwards. Yeah, Larry Nevin. If you didn't know that, where's the Urborg Tyrant? Never's Disc, Urborg Tyrant. All right, let's take a look at the Urborg Tyrant. So here he is here. Here's the Urborg Tyrant. Here's Nevinrill. He's got the disc and the new art of the disc on his neck. right here. So there's like the new art for the disc, wearing it around his neck. It's pretty cool. I'm playing the zombie wizard in wizard's deck. Sorry, in a zombie deck. I am. It would be nice. I have the new disc, but I don't have the OG one. This one's really cool. Like when people put this on the battlefield, if there's one card in Magic the Gathering early that just kind of give you the creeps and be like, oh my god, that card's crazy. This card definitely is one of them. It's like this disc that's coming alive and there's tentacles coming out of it. It's pretty awesome. Mono artifact again. He's got the mono ability right on it. You got to tap it. You got to use it to use it. You got to tap it. You can only use it once. You got to be able to tap it. So pay one, tap it, destroy all creatures, enchantments, artifacts, and play. Disc can be tapped, but disc begins tapped, but can be untapped as usual. Disc destroys itself when used. I love the old wording on this. Now it just says enters the battlefield tap, and you pay one and tap it, destroy all artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. So this thing destroys, just blow up the world, right? I like to get a little bit more lore on this card. It's pretty cool. I'd like to get an old school copy. Cabal Ghoul. Here's a cool card. Um, Here's a cool card, and this is a zombie, right? Yeah, it's been errated as a zombie. So this 3-mana zombie, the set symbol is a little hard to read, and so is the mana value, but it's definitely 3 mana here. It's kind of hidden with the old black pips. But at the end of each turn in which a creature died, you put a 1/1 counter on Cabal Ghoul for each creature died during the turn and wasn't regenerated. This is a go-to in zombies. If you want to play, like, here's a card that I'd like you folks, like, why is this card not more money? Spike Feeder. You got a, like, old Spike Feeder? Why aren't people playing this card? Spike Feeder. Shout out to, is that the one? No, what's the one that heals all your opponent's creature or all 1/1 counters? There's a Carrion Feeder. Is that the one? Carrion Feeder? What's the one when it comes into plays from Exodus? The one from Exodus, the black one that when it comes into play, move all +1/+1 counters onto it. I mean, it's a pretty good card. This one's probably darn decent in the counters deck. I'd like to play this with the I love the Spike Feeder food chain, right? Giving it some other stuff. Selling the ghouls. Have you tried Card Sphere? This card's good, but I'm gonna have to check the tech with my buddy Samalama. Samalama showed me his commander deck, and he's playing this Spike. I thought it was Spike Feeder, but there's another feeder that from Exodus that when it enters the battlefield, it takes all 1/1 counters from around the board, and it goes on Gabagool. That's right. That's right. This one's like Presquito. That's right. Tommy Siddons, Gabagool. It's like Capicoli, right? If you like The Sopranos, uh, if you like The Sopranos, this is a card for you. It's like they say Capicoli, but they say Gabagool. This is it. This is it, right? I forgot about that. Tommy Siddons. Thanks for keeping me hilarious here this morning. If you like some prosciutto or some prosciutto or some gabagool or some cabal ghoul, this is the card for you. It's a pretty fun card to play. I'd like to put it into my zombie deck. I do have one of them. I picked it up when I was a little gaffer. Some people say it's one of the better cards in the game when it comes to putting 1/1 counters on stuff, and I can't agree more. Decks using it, Sliver Queen. Why the heck is Sliver Queen using this? The Gabagool. A delicious and nutritious card, the Gabagool. All right, we got diminishing returns. Here's a card I'd like to figure out how to break it. Okay, here's a card. I thought it was on the reserve list, but it's not. Diminishing returns. I remember when this card was printed in Alliances. It's 4 mana, sorcery. It's like a wheel, right? Says each player shuffles his or her hand graveyard into the library. Remove the top 10 cards of your library from the game. Each player draws up to 7 new cards. Up to 7 new cards. So diminishing returns, another card from Alliances. I thought this was on the reserve list, but I'm mistaken. This is like the card we got when you couldn't afford Time Twister back in the day, and then we got like diminishing returns, right? And we're like, oh man, it's like almost as good, but like the exiling the top cards, 10 cards of your library. Maybe this is just another wheel. Is it played in command? Yeah, it's going up. Here's a spike. Here's a card that's going up. This could get hit with a reprint. It was only 80 cents. Now it's $10. Diminishing returns is $10. Why is this card spiking? Does anybody know? It was $2 or $3. It's sold out. Is it because of Sheol Dread, the Apocalypse?
I'm gonna have Nekuzar, the Mind Razor, I guess. Commander. Yeah, Nekuzar dealing a damage each time a creature draws a card. Whenever an opponent draws a card, Nekuzar deals some damage to them. So this card's just getting some support now. Interesting card. If you can pick this card up right now for $1 or $2, I would suggest doing it. Try and snipe yourself a copy. There's eBay buy it now for $1 or $2. They're sold out at Card Kingdom. TCG Player, they got 8 copies available from games and stuff for $1. Here's a buy. I already have this card. Like, I got a few copies of it. I'm not in need of it. But if you don't have it, it's spiking in price. It's $10. So I would definitely see if you can go and get yourself a copy of this for $1 today. Go and do it. Like, I'm looking at this, like go figure. So we've talked about this far on the show, and I've been baited and suckered in before. Like, look at this chart here. Brody just wants to draw lines on charts. Okay, so let's look at the chart. Here we got a nice chart here. Line going this way. Where's my epic pen? Yeah, so it's moving this way, east to west. It's been sitting at around like the $1 to $2 mark for a long time. And there's probably like when a spike like this hits, I don't know why it's going up, but it's definitely going up. Where's my epic pen? I want my pencil. My pencil. I've spoken about it before, like waking up in the morning and seeing like prices spike like this and going, watch out, don't get burned. This could be market manipulation, some mispricing. This could be definitely a trap. It could be, but it's $1. Okay, it's only $1. So like your risk of speculating on this and trying to pick up 8 copies right now for $1 a piece, the worst case scenario, you're going to be stuck with a really cool card from Alliances, and it's going to cost you $8. This card may be a sleeper right now. It's sold out on Card Kingdom. If there's anybody selling it on the secondary market on eBay or on TCG Player for $1, you might be able to, like, here's 8 copies here for $1 over at Games and Stuff. Gnome Games. Even check your local game stores or any of the card stores that you buy. I got a few of them that I check, Fusion Games and a couple other ones that are local. I would check this out. Good to have you here, Dual Brain. Thanks for joining. I got to run too. It's getting on past that time. I got to run. I do. We got one card left on the movers and the shakers list here today to discuss. Pick up yourself a copy of Diminishing Returns for $1. I bought my local game store's entire Alliance's bin. Have an awesome day, homie. Thanks, Cosmic Seeds. Here's a card. I love the art on this card. Thyra Arian. Target player draws a card for a black, a red, and a green. This is a 1/2 flying. It's from Legends. It's not on the reserve list, but look at the art on it. It's friggin' amazing. $57 for this card. Any of the Legends? I mean, why not? Pick yourself up a Legend. I picked up Gosta Dirk, and I picked up Stang. I think. Did I get Gosta Dirk? Played in Lord Windgrace. The color is on point. $27. Pretty cool card. Thanks for joining me, folks. It's 420. This is your April 20th stream here this morning. Thanks for joining me for some puff pass on the AI generated Magic cards this morning. We passed every single one of them. There was not a single fail in the bunch. This morning, Magic Stocks and some Magic Talks with Brody, Alphonso Investments. It is Alphonso Investments. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a blast. It's been a slice wherever you are. Be nice to each other. Try and have a sweet day. May the sun be on your face and the wind at your back. Tack that like button and the subscribe button. It lets the folks know that the channel can grow. Let's grow the Bro Show each and every day. Thanks again for tuning in. Liberty, Tommy Siddons, Tom Mitchell, Michael Superbacker, MTG Gaming Bob, Ed the Dual Brain, Benson. Thanks for joining me here on the channel. Cosmic Seeds, folks. Hatcher, hey, Mike's here. We're discussing the name of the channel there this morning. Is it time for a name change? It could very well be. I want to thank you, Mike. Mike Hatcher, thank you so much for the meaningful words that you had yesterday on the live stream. It meant a lot to me. Thanks for the shout outs and everything. I took it to heart. I try to put the effort in. It's nice for somebody to give you a shout out like that. Appreciate you as always. Have a good day, everybody. I love you. Talk to you later. See you in the morning.